Alright, I'm going to show you how to do the photo editing project for the camera raw. So what we want to do is we want to open up our programs. So first we want to open up Adobe Bridge and then Adobe Photoshop. So how you find your applications is go to Go. So we're on our home desktop screen. Make sure you click on the home screen so you see the word Go, and then go down to Applications, and you should see Adobe Bridge either 2023 or 2024 in this folder. You can use either one for this project. Double click on the folder and then you can double click on the application. I recommend to drag it down here in the docs, that way you can use it for future use. Same with Adobe Photoshop. Double click on that and you can drag that down here as well. So I'm going to open up Bridge by clicking on the BR. When you first use Bridge, you have to give it a couple permissions. Just hit OK and allow those permissions. The default, it should go to this view, probably for the first time. So it's an Essentials view. I prefer to work in Film Strip with the larger preview, but you can use Essentials. If you go between these, you can actually move each of these and adjust each of the window sizes. I'm going to click on my desktop. You can also click on desktop over here. So I'm going to go to my folder with my photos, which is this one. And what I want to do, I'm going to change to the film strip view here, is I got some photos in here. So what I'm going to do is hold down the command button on my keyboard. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to click and select 8 photos to edit. So I'm holding command and clicking on those 8. Then I'm going to press Control and click, so like a right click if you have that on your mouse. And then we're going to choose the copy to function. I'm going to go down to where it says choose folder. Here, I want to create a new folder. So I'm going to click on new folder. I'm going to call this photo editing. Hit create. I'm going to hit choose. When I do that, it's going to copy those photos into that new folder. So it's going to leave them here, and then it'll have a new folder called photo editing. And there's my 8 photos it copied. So what we need to do now is make duplicate copies of these. So I'm just going to select all these. Again, I can also press Command and select them. You can do this one by one or do all 8 at once. And then I'm just going to right click and choose Duplicate. When I hit Duplicate, it's going to make a copy of each of these photos. So I went from having 8 photos to now having 16 photos in my folder. So I have these before and afters. This one's still previewing. Hold on, I'll just delete that. I'm going to right click on that one and hit duplicate. There we go. So there's my before and my copy. So on the copy one, the one that says copy in the name, I'm going to right click or control click and go up to open in camera raw. So again, each of these are tabs. So we got the basic tab where you can do a lot of different adjustments. You can change the color temperature, exposure, adjust your highlights and shadows. You can add clarity. You can dehaze or add haze to a photo. You can make your colors more vibrant, or you can make it black and white by dragging the saturation all the way down. So however you edit the photo is up to you. I would just explore, click on these different tabs, see what each thing does. If you need to sharpen, that's in your detail tab. Color mixer, do you want to adjust one color? So if I go to my hue, I go to my blues, I can drag that left and right and I can change that one color. I can also increase or decrease the saturation of that color. So I can increase or decrease. And then I can also change the brightness. So I can make it lighter or darker depending on the look. So maybe we like that. Color grading, just like in films, we can add colors to our highlights, other colors to our mids and shadows independently. And you can change the blending and balance here. The other ones I would look at is the effects tab. You can add film grain. If you increase the size and the roughness and the amount, you'll see it get grittier. I also like to add vignettes. I can do a dark or light vignette. If you click on these little arrows here or triangles, you get more options. You can adjust the midpoint, the shape of the vignette, and the feather of the vignette. So I like to kind of make it more feathered. But how you edit is up to you. If you hover on the upper right, if you hover over each of these tools, So if you want to crop the photo, you can click on crop. It might be locked, so click on this little locked, and so that way you can do a freehand crop, and then double click to crop it. There's the spot healing tool, we'll use that later. Masking tool, I'll show you how to use that later too. The one you might want to click on is this one called presets. It looks like 2 circles. Click on that. So you can make your own presets. You can also use all these different presets, so all these expand. There's lots of different ones in here. And if you hover over one, you can see different previews. So if I click and expand this one, there's different travel ones. So maybe we like this one. And you can click on it and adjust the amount of it as well. So let's say we're happy with our edit. What we need to do is save this out correctly. So first thing I'm going to do before I save a photo is down here on this link, this white link below my photo where it says display P3, click on that, and you need to change your depth from 16-bit, that's the default depth, to 8-bit. If we don't do that, it won't let us save us as JPEGs, and we can't upload our photos onto a Google Slide if we keep it in 16-bit. So change it from 16-bit, change it to 8-bit depth, and hit OK. And then all I'm going to do is click open in the bottom right. It's going to open up Photoshop. And if it's your first time using Photoshop, you might have to give a couple permissions and just hit OK. And then I'll open the photograph into Photoshop. And then what we need to do is save those camera raw settings onto the photo. So I'm just going to go to File and Save. We're going to make sure it's in the right photo editing folder. Make sure you change the format. The default will be Photoshop. Switch it to JPEG. Once you do that once and save it once, it'll work every time. So just hit save. I'm going to replace it. And then the default quality will be set to 8, so I just move that up to 12 and then hit OK. And then if I close this little X, this little window here, and go back to Bridge, here is my before and after. So I'd upload the original photo and the edited after photo. So these will be the 2 photos. So another way to save it, I'm just going to open this one up into Camera Raw real quick and do a couple quick changes. So let's just make it like a cool, kind of dark, kind of winter hazy photo. Let's maybe do this. Okay. So I'm going to save this out, and you can also save it in Camera Raw. So if I click on this little arrow right here on the top, it'll save it. So I'm going to do save in same location, or I can select a new folder. Make sure the format here says JPEG, and then my quality is at 12, and then just go up and hit save, and it'll save this into your folder as a new file. So if I click done here, you'll see there's my original photo. There's the one I copied and is previewing the Camera Raw settings, but those actually aren't saved onto it. The one that's saved from Camera Raw is copy_1. This is the one I would upload to Google Slides. So I'd upload the original and this one. This one is previewing those settings, but it's not actually saved onto it. If I were to upload it onto a Google Slide, it would actually look like the original, because Google Slides and your web browser have nothing to do with Photoshop, and it's not going to preview those settings. So what I would actually recommend is just hit delete, and then just keep the original and the edited save one, put those on your slide, and you'll be good to go. So hopefully that helped. Thank you.